talking with Robert Lahey. He's Vice President of Investment Banking at Ardour Capital. And we're sitting here in the Empire State Building in New York. Robert, maybe you can first of all explain what Ardour Capital is.
Sure. First, thank you, Craig, and welcome to New York. Ardour Capital is Wall Street's only full-service investment bank that does nothing but clean tech, and we've been serving exclusively the clean tech industry for about 10 years now. We were started initially because no one in New York really was providing things like equity research coverage and investor conferences for the clean tech space, so that's when Ardour came in and really filled that void for the investment community interested in the clean tech space. And obviously, since our founding in 2002, the sector has grown tremendously, and there's been new institutional interest on the investor side, as well as new companies coming up. So we've expanded our operations quite a bit in that time. Our institutional client base has expanded from Europe to North America to Asia. We've created a family of indexes, and I'm on the corporate finance side, where we've done over 50 capital raises since 2005, and we're still today Wall Street's only full-service investment bank that does all of those channels for the space.
Okay. Before we talk about your indices, can you describe what is your personal working day like? Do you pour through the news and work on the index all day?
Sure. Well, my primary function is Vice President of Investment Banking, and it's a boutique, so everybody wears a couple different hats. But a typical day for me at Ardour Capital involves going through new companies' business plans and evaluating new companies in terms of which ones we could fit with our institutional client base, as well as servicing the live deals, the clients we're actively in the market raising capital for, doing other corporate finance transactions. In addition to that, I also do legislative analysis for Ardour Capital, and work with Ardour Global Indexes to provide assistance defining what is the alternative energy space in terms of the public equity markets.
Okay. You're talking about institutional investors now.
Yes.
But your indexes are also open to the public in a rather indirect fashion. Is that right?
Correct. Ardour Global Indexes, which was founded by one of Ardour's principals, Walter Nasdio, who's the longest tenured Wall Street analyst in the clean tech space, put together a real basket of stocks that is everything in the global equity markets that has pure play exposure to the clean tech markets. And we define pure play requirements higher than any other financial institution in the world. We verify ourselves that at least 50% of revenues from all the companies that make it into our index are directly attributable to some aspect of the alternative energy space. And you're absolutely right. We provide these indexes as benchmarks for the space, and then we work with partners that create financial products off of these, like our ETFs, GEX and KWT in the New York Stock Exchange, that can be purchased from any ordinary investor on the street. But Ardour Capital Investments here, we do exclusively the institutional investors.
Okay, so if I'm an institutional investor, I can come to you if I just want to put $10,000 in a good investment that's green and renewable. I can talk to my bank and link that up to your index.
Correct. Yeah, and for the larger sums, we have other sorts of services for capital raising and also direct investments in the stocks.
Okay. Let's talk for a moment about pure play. Obviously, a company like GE, which is just, they're one of the biggest wind turbine manufacturers around, just to mention one field, obviously involved in efficiency, they would not be on your index.
Correct. Yeah, our view is that we have clients that have actively managed portfolios that look at various companies in the space. But what we want to do with the index is really create something that gives a perfect snapshot of what the alternative energy space is, and that will react to events in the space. Our view is that if President Obama were to do something as a legislative catalyst for the wind space, companies like GE and Siemens that are active in the alternative energy space wouldn't necessarily react because of the diversity of their business segments. So all of the companies that make it into Ardour's indexes do have that direct correlation, 50% or frequently higher. Therefore, we feel it gives the best snapshot of the alternative energy space.
Okay. Speaking of snapshots, your index is a snapshot of the industry, but the industry is not doing well, and the index actually reflects that. Moving forward, what would you recommend, not about specific companies, let's say, but just as someone who wants to put my money somewhere in an industry that I support, is this a good time, or is it just too turbulent right now?
First of all, I wouldn't say that the industry is not doing well. Certainly from an investment in public equities, it has not been a wise investment during the past 12 months, as there's been a price war in solar and some demand ripples in wind. But you really have to look at each technology vertical separately. Wind right now is one of the most mature markets in the alternative energy space. It is a multi-billion-dollar global market. Started in Europe, United States is now the large multi-gigawatt market, and it's moving to China. But there are some signs of maturing, and its growth estimates are not quite as strong as they used to be, and I think that's part of the reason why the stocks have not performed as well. Solar is also becoming a mature market like wind is, and long term that's a great thing. The price of solar panels that were going for $4 a watt in 2008 are now approaching $1 a watt, and these systems are more competitive than ever. The investment community has noticed this, are now putting together more creative pools of financing. We just completed advising on a $50 million closing for a company called One Roof Energy, which is in the residential leasing space for solar. So the systems have really become more competitive. We're seeing volume growth on an absolute basis across the world. At the same time, there are some growing pains in the industry, and not all the companies are going to survive, and the margins are going to compress. But it's all part of the story of growth for us. And then, of course, you've got the less mature markets. There are flywheels and fuel cells and companies that we also follow on a regular basis that are not as mature as the solar market. Our view there is that there is value and that there are opportunities, but it's too soon to say which ones will be the winners and losers.
Okay. So maybe to sum it up in a sentence, we should be making investments here, but it's just gotten a little bit harder and you need more guidance on this.
Absolutely. There is still a tremendous amount of value in the space and opportunities as the perception factors, the Cylinders of the world bring down all the stocks to some degree. Investors panic a little bit. There will be value created because a lot of these companies are going to survive and are going to be leaders in the space, and the ones we're watching on a regular day, and we're seeing investors put capital work. So keep watching and definitely keep writing checks, but be careful.
Okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.